Alright guys, this video has been super anticipated, but it is going to be a full prop firm risk management guide on futures, okay? So I'm going to literally be helping you pass your futures prop firm challenges just by informing you how to properly manage risk and navigate these challenges because you'd be surprised, a lot of people don't even know how to risk in these markets, right? In these on these prop firm challenges, they don't know how to risk, right? They don't know how risk works, 1%, 0.5%, and they don't know the intricacies of the account dynamics and the leverage, and I'm here to, change that with this video. Okay, so in this video specifically, we're going to be covering futures. I will potentially make another separate risk management guide for CFDs slash Forex, but this is going to be very, very beneficial, guys. So please take notes, watch this, intently, and let's just get started, all right? I don't want to waste your time. So here we go. Okay, so this is going to be, like I said, prop firm risk management guide for futures. Okay, we're going to be covering the four main futures firms currently that I think are the best in the industry. I'm not affiliated with any of these firms, guys, but I think that if you can max out your portfolio with these firms, or even go to one of these firms, you have a very, very solid ground on getting paid out. And yeah. So number one is going to be Topstep. Number two is My Funded Futures. Number three is Apex Trader Funding, and FastTrack Trading, which is a new up and coming firm, which has gotten a lot of hype recently, is the next one. Now there are a couple other futures firms. Some new ones are Tradeify and Take Profit Trader. Also, Buellanox, Elite Trader Funding, etc. But we're not going to cover those because, again, I don't really like them in terms of they haven't been established yet. They don't really have good marketing. So in terms of payouts and whatnot, these firms are readily paying out pretty big. Now Apex has been under some backlash as of recently, but it is what it is. We'll get to that later if necessary. But let's just get into it, okay? So you want to be risking these challenges, in an intelligent way, right? You want to be risking on these challenges in an intelligent way. I'm going to be covering, on the screen as well, in terms of your risk, your risk reward, like your stop loss and TP, how that has to be. But let's get into this, right? So for top step, right, you want to be going for the 150K accounts, okay? Now, obviously, this is kind of going to be kind of subjective, but the way I'm calculating this is based on what I would be doing personally and what I think is worth your time. And yeah, 150Ks are going to be the number one account you should be going for on Topstep. Now again, if it's 50K and 100K that you want to go for, you can apply this analogously, okay? Based on what's going on, because it should be the same. Now Apex Trader Funding is a bit different, but it should be the same, okay? So for the 150K accounts, in Topstep, you get 3% max end of day trailing drawdown. So what does that mean, guys? That means you have 3% at any given time, but it'll update that at the end of the day. So if you start the new trading day, which is going to be 5 p.m. EST, okay, you start out with 3% drawdown, right? Now the goal on these prop firm challenges, or for 150K account on Topstep, is 6%. Okay, it's 6% that you have to make on Topstep to become funded. Okay, so as you can see, it's $9,000. If you just equate that to a percentage, it's going to be 6%. Okay, and now a big thing going into this video is I want you guys thinking about these prop firm targets and drawdowns in percentages. Do not think of them as dollar amounts. Think of them as percentages, because when you risk, on the charts, when you're taking a trade, you are risking in percentage. Okay, this is what I do. This is what every high level trader does. You risk in terms of percentage. Okay, now for futures, obviously it's a bit different, but in terms of the contracts, but we're gonna get that into the cheat sheet. We're gonna get into that with the cheat sheet right here. But for top step, for the 150K accounts, it's 6% profit target, 3% max end of day trailing drawdown. Okay, so if you risk 1% per trade, okay, right here, you have 3 trades so your account's blowing. Now, that's very tight, guys. I don't think you guys understand. It is very easy to blow through 3% in one day, okay? You can lose that all in one day. It's very easy, okay? But this means, though, that if you're risking 1% per trade and, amazingly, let's say you hit winner after winner, or, some good RR trades, right? You only have to make 6 RR to pass the challenge, which doesn't seem like a lot. It's actually pretty small, actually. Okay, now taking a step back, this 3% max end of day trailing drawdown, right? What this means is it's not like Apex, right? It's not Apex of where your drawdown is trailed from your unrealized high watermark. Okay, this means that you can take trades, okay, and hold them for higher RR. 3RR, 4RR, 5RR, etc. because of this fact, guys. Okay, so this is why end of day trailing drawdown is very, very important, because throughout the day, yes, you're gonna have a lot of leeway, and it's gonna reset at the end of the day, and you're still gonna obviously still have that 3% when the next day comes. But during the intraday, right, for scalping, for taking higher RR trades, you're not going to be penalized if the trade retraces on you in profit and then stops you out, right? Um, so yeah, 1% per trade. You have 3 trades to your accounts blown. Now, again, we're not going to get into all of the Topstep rules and whatnot, but essentially for Topstep, if you're trading on a platform other than NinjaTrader or Tradeovate, excuse me, if you're trading on a platform other than Topstep X, which is their proprietary trading platform, you have a daily loss limit as well. So you have a 2% daily loss limit on Topstep, on NinjaTrader, Tradeovate, Rhythmic, whatever. Before you get locked out, you get auto locked out of your account, and then you can't trade for the rest of the day, and then you you have to wait for the next day to roll over, and then you have 1% left to work with, and then if you lose that, you lose that, or if not, you make it back, whatever, right? So that's something to consider. So essentially, if you're not trading on Topstep X intraday, you only really have 2% of drawdown to work with. But in terms of the actual pass dynamics, yes, if you're risking 1%, 3 trades till your account's blown. If you lose all 3 trades, and then 6%, 6 trades, 6 RR needed to pass the challenge. And another thing that I that I forgot to say on Topstep, what happens is that you can't pass in one single day because of a consistency rule. So the consistency rule is, your best day can't be more. It doesn't even show it here, but your best day can't be more than 50% of the profit that you make. So you have to essentially be making less than $4,500 in a day. You can't make the full $9,000 in a day and pass in one day. You have to make $4,500 in one day and then the $4,500 in the next day. What I personally do is I go for about 2.9 RR. So I'm just under that $4,500 threshold, and then I'll pass the full challenge on the next day, right? On 1 to 3 RR trade, and then when the day resets, they update your balance, you just pass. Okay. So that's something to consider. You have to take 2 trading days. So essentially, you really should only be going for 1 to 3 RR through 2 days, right? But this is net. Now, if you risk 0.5%, okay, on these accounts, these 150K accounts, you have 6 trades now till your account's blown. Okay, but this means you need 12 RR now to pass the challenge, assuming you keep that risk profile of 0.5%. Okay, now do you want to go with this? Now, I would recommend, obviously, if you can afford to blow through challenges, you can afford to take that risk, go risk 1% per trade. Absolutely. Okay, but in my experience, as you guys know, I did trade with Apex Trader Funding in the summer. I was very close to a $40,000 payout, but unfortunately, I had a very bad loss streak in my system, got super unlucky, and I lost my $1 million in funding. You already know what happened with that. But in terms of leeway, you always want to have as much leeway as possible when you are trading through prop firms, because more drawdown will give you more of a probability to come back from that drawdown and have that leeway, right? And in my experience, yes, 5 to 6 trades in the burner, right, in the magazine is what is like that proper ratio of what's beneficial to you and still gives you a high enough risk profile, because you don't want to be risking 0.25% or 0.1% where, sure, is it going to take you 12 trades, maybe 20 trades to blow through your account? Yeah, but when you win, you're making like nothing, right? So it's not worth your time. There's also a time-based ROI in this, because we're trying to get paid in a relatively fast, frame of time. Right? We're not trying to pay, be on these challenges for 3-4 months at a time, when we have bills to pay, etc. Okay? And that's really for Topstep. So I would be recommending 0.5%. People always ask me how much you want to risk. And yeah, guys, so 12 hours needed for that. And then here's a little cheat sheet that I did want to show you guys for 150K account. Now, again, this is not for 50K. This is not for, for any other accounts. Like this is for 150K. And also for My Funded Futures, it's the same exact principle. My Funded Futures is a little bit different because they have, and if you pull it up right here, they have a higher profit target. So you have to make $12,000 for their profit target, but they have no consistency rule and no consistency rule. So you can make this in a day, right? And they have no daily loss limit. So you can risk 3% in a day, hit a 1 to 4, whatever, and pass it, assuming you would adhere under the contract rules. But for the risk profiles, the risk dynamics for 150K account, this is a little cheat sheet that I want you guys to take a picture of and copy. Okay, but as you guys know, I trade gold and NASDAQ, so the tickers on futures is GC and NQ, and this is the contract size cheat sheet. So on a 20-tick stop loss for gold, if you want to risk 1% on a 20-tick stop loss, okay, as you can see here, this arrow leads to here, that is going to be 7.5 contracts. Now, here's the issue. As we know with futures contracts, minis and micros, or I call them full-size contracts and micros, you cannot have partial contracts, okay? The reasons why micro contracts exist is because they allow you to manage risk, okay, and you can be more precise with the risk. So for example, we know that a micro contract is tenth of the size of a mini or full size contract. And in this case, I'm using full size contracts for this example, for this cheat sheet, because again, you just move the decimal place 1 point over if you want to convert it to the analogous micro contracts, okay? So for a 20 tick stop loss, it's going to be 7.5 full size contracts. And yeah, if you want to trade the full size ticker, the full size contract, you're going to either have to round up or round down. But again, this means your risk is not going to be exact anymore. And again, it's a caveat, right? But if you trade the micros, okay, this is going to be 75 micros. Okay, pretty simple stuff. But here's the thing: Topstep and my funded futures do not have one-to-one micro scaling. Topstep X, I think, does have it, but my funded futures does not have it, unfortunately. That could be changed, right? This is just going from memory from when I researched myself and everything. So they don't have micro scaling, unfortunately. So you're gonna have to trade the full size contract. So in this case, yes, I've kind of navigated and figured out what works in terms of scalping sizes on these different tickers, and these are kind of the best stop loss sizes to have when you're scalping, in my opinion. Anywhere from 20 to 75 ticks on gold, anywhere from 60 to 150 ticks on NQ, okay? Because again, as you guys know, these futures firms are designed for scalping, if we're going to be real, they're designed for scalping. But yeah, on a 25 tick stop loss for gold, it's going to be 6 contracts if you want to risk 1% on 150K. 50 ticks is 3 contracts, 75 ticks, 2 contracts, okay? Now getting into NQ, obviously it's different. NQ goes with a different tick movement, so obviously the contracts and the risk is going to be slightly different, okay? And again, I do this basically proportional on distance. So this is not going to be super tight. Obviously, you have to equate it, but this is why I have these numbers the way they are, because these are what works in my experience for scalping. So on NQ, if you have a 60 tick stop loss and again 150K account with Topstep or my funded futures, it's going to be a 5 contract amount to risk on a 60 tick stop loss. If you have 75 ticks, it's 4 contracts, 100 ticks 3, and 150 ticks 2 contracts. Okay, and again, for micros, right, doesn't really matter, but if you were, let's say, trading a personal account, let's say you had 150K personal account or whatever, you wanted to risk 1%, and, you want to trade the micros, if say you don't want to use like a whole number tick stop loss size, you want to use it based on structure, you have like a decimal point, right, it's like some, like for example, I'll show that later. But yeah, this is going to be 50 micros, 40 micros, 30 micros, 20 micros. And then obviously 75 micros, 60 micros, 30 micros, 20 micros. Okay, so a little cheat sheet, but screenshot this, guys. And that's really for Topstep and my funded futures. Now, when you are trading, okay, through, for these trades, like how do you pass these, right? Like what style should you be doing? Obviously scalping, okay? Number one, this is gold. Obviously you should be scalping. But in terms of risk to reward as well, right? You can hit great intraday risk to reward trades, right? So for example, let's just say hypothetically we got in, let's just say, just make something up. Oh, inverse fair value gap. We closed above here, bullish candle closure, stop loss like that. Okay, right? This trade will resolve intraday, like a 1 to 2 hour trade, right? So when you're trading through futures firms, your goal is to be hitting kind of trades like this, okay? I'm not disclosing how to scalp yet. It's going to be for a completely different video. But that's also some secret sauce. If I'm going to be real with you, join the mentorship and join the free Discord if you want to actually learn how to scalp. You want to be hitting trades like this essentially. Now, another big thing is that with futures, since you have such high leverage, because again, if you really calculate the effective leverage for these futures firms, it's a lot of leverage, guys. It's almost like 1 to 200 leverage, right? You can negative RR scalp, okay? And that is how you pass these challenges, secretly, okay? Or people don't really tell you secretly, but like this is, a effective way to pass these challenges through negative RR scalping, okay? High risk negative RR scalping. So essentially, when you're doing that, you're essentially going for 0.5 or 0.25 RR trades, right? I go for 0.5 RR trades if I'm negative RR scalping, and just naturally these trades will resolve very, very fast. And you put a lot of leverage on these trades, and then every trade you win, like let's say you hit 3 winners in a row, right, risking 2%, you just made 3% profit, right? And it's very easy to do that because you have obviously some analysis done, like key scalping points, as well as the fact that inherently, since your TP distance is closer to since your TP distance is half the size of your stop loss distance, there's a 2 times greater likelihood that price hits your TP. Okay. So that's really that with scalping and how you should be doing that. But in my opinion, I think if you can't afford to blow through challenges, or you want to have the lowest ROI in terms of challenges, risk 0.5%, right? And yeah, that's really it. Okay. And now let's move on to apex trader funding and fast track trading. Because there are a couple concepts that I do want to talk about that are very, very key that you really have to master if you want to understand this. But with apex trader funding, right? If anything, Topstep, my funded futures, they're not necessarily designed for it because they don't have unrealized trailing drawdown, right? You can hold your trades, you can hit those 1 to 2s, 1 to 3s, and even if they retrace on you, right? It doesn't really matter because you have end of day trailing drawdown, not unrealized high watermark trailing drawdown. And now you guys might be asking, what is unrealized trailing drawdown? Great question. I'm going to explain that to you right now. Okay, so let's get an example right here. Let's do another example right here. Okay, this is a perfect example, honestly. Also, what's gold doing right now? I'm going crazy. Okay, so when a firm says they have end of day trailing drawdown, not unrealized drawdown, that means that when you are in a trade, okay, your drawdown will trail based on the end of day balance at the end of the day, not the intraday unrealized high watermark movement. So for example, if I want to go for a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3, right, I can do that because it's not the drawdown is not being calculated as my profits go up and up and up and up, right? They're calculated based on the full end of day balance right here. Okay? So why is that difference from Apex, right? Why is it different from Apex? Now, before we talk about that, for Apex trader funding, yes, you want to be going for the 50K accounts. I will be covering that right here. But why is that important for Apex? Okay, you have 5% max unrealized trailing drawdown. Okay, that at any given time you have 5% unrealized trailing drawdown. Okay, so why is this scary? Because what this means is you are not incentivized to hold trades despite having proper risk management. Like, guys, this is a very clean trade. You'd be at break even at some point over here maybe, and if it ran, it ran. Say you were targeting maybe that high or something, it would have ran. You would have hit 5 RR, right? But with Apex, since they trail from the unrealized high watermark, okay, what this means is that if you want to, if you lose a trade, right? Say, like, I'm gonna actually copy and paste this to show you exactly what I mean. Okay, if you want to, if you lose a trade, right? Say you're going for a 1 to 3 RR trade, like say in this trade, you're going for a 1 to 3 RR, or let's say 1 to 4, right? Great, price is doing this. Price goes up, and it retraces on you. If you were trading on Apex, this is really bad because obviously the trade's just not going to reach. A lot of trades aren't just going to retrace and then go to TP. They might retrace and then go all the way to your stop loss. Okay, and why this is scary is because when you have unrealized trailing drawdown, for you to have a consistent stop loss, say you risked 1% on the stop, as price goes into in your favor in profit, you have to essentially trail your stop loss the exact amount that it was for you to be having a consistent risk. So for example, as price is going like this in profit, okay, like this, the drawdown is trailing from that high watermark. So in reality, okay, you have 5%, right? 5% drawdown. At this point in time, when the market starts retracing on you, in terms of Apex's risk system, when price hits here, even though it's in profit, you are still in profit in respect to your position, you are technically down minus 1% in the unrealized trailing drawdown. Okay? And every iteration of this that happens, because remember, this is your stop loss distance based on the contracts that you have, you're going to be down 1 more %. So in this case, even though you're fully in profit in this position, in regards to the risk system, you're down 1% here, another 2% here, and then amazingly it goes and hits TP. But what if it didn't hit TP? Okay, if this went straight to your original stop loss, you're not losing 1%, guys. You're losing 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're losing 4% of your drawdown, and now you only have 1% of drawdown to work with. Okay, and this is why it's not designed, and this is why people hate the unrealized trailing drawdown, because this is what it is, right? If you can't really hold trades like this, and you're not gonna have clean trades that just go fully to TP every single time, but this is what's gonna happen. So why is this important? Because this means that Apex is not designed for huge RR trades like this. It's designed for scalping, and this is why they give you a bunch of contracts, because you have to scalp. And when you are scalping, you are going for 1-to-1 or negative RR trades, or slightly above 1-to-1, 1 to 1.1, 1 to 1.2, etc. Okay, so in this case, you want to be in and out, because since it trails, you want to lock in that profit and then just go next, find another scalp point. Okay, so in this case, you would be wanting to go for a trade like this. This is a perfect trade. It doesn't have any drawdown. It just resolves, hits TP, boom, you're in and out. Now, obviously, you're not making 4%, whatever. You're making 1%, but this is where you start scalping. You keep hitting these consistently, and you have a high win rate, and then you obviously pass your challenge and make money with Apex, okay? And it's really critical that you understand how to navigate this, and people don't, and they blow their challenges. They're like, oh my god, I don't know how the trailing drawdown works, whatever. That's exactly how it works, okay? So you have to monitor your risk very, very carefully. Even if you are going to go for higher RR, you still have to understand that, hey, if you keep your original stop loss point at that area that you had, right, and the trade retraces and hits that stop loss point, you're not losing your intended 1% risk on that trade. You're losing much more because it trails from your unrealized trailing drawdown, or it trails from your high water mark. Okay, continuing on. When you're trading on Apex Trader Funding, you want to be going for the 50K accounts because that gives you the best profit target to drawdown ratio, right? You want to have an easy challenge, not a hard challenge, okay? And I love risking 1% per trade because the 5% drawdown is, for me, it's perfect enough to give you that good proportion of, you'll have a lot of trades in the burner, but then you can still risk high and, pass your challenges in a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, if this essentially just means that, hey, if you risk 1% per trade, you have 5 trades, so your account's blown. If you risk 0.5%, that's 10 trades, and 0.25%, 20 trades, right? And yeah, but going to this, flow chart now, the profit target to drawdown ratio, what is that? What is the profit target to drawdown ratio? Okay, you can check out all the account sizes here with Apex, but I broke it down for you in a no BS, fully simple way to understand on what challenges you should be taking with Apex. Okay, this says that for every 1% of profit targets you have to make for a challenge, how much, for every one drawdown percentage or 1% of drawdown that you get, how much profit do you have to make? Okay, now just from logic, you want this number to be as low as possible for the trader. Why? Because this is saying for every 1% of drawdown that you have to make less profit, which is beneficial to you because you can pass the challenge faster. It's easier to pass the challenge because it's a lower profit target distance. Okay, and again, I just wrote down for you here the amount of profit that you have to make per 1% of drawdown you get. That's all what this is. Now, if you calculate these ratios based on the account sizes that Apex gives you, you'll understand that I've done the math for you all here, that the higher this number is, the less in your favor and the harder it is for you to pass that challenge, okay? And the more likely that you're going to blow that challenge. So if we look at the numbers here, for 50K, we have a ratio of 1.2. For 100K, we have a ratio of 2.0. 150K, a ratio of 1.8. 250K, a ratio of 2.3. And 300K, a ratio of 2.7. This means that the hardest challenge and the most likely challenge that you're going to fail is the 300K account because it has the highest profit target to drawdown ratio. For every 1% of drawdown that you get, you have to make almost 3% profit. But that is why you go with the 50K accounts. It is the best account size, guys, because this is the lowest number. This means for every 1% of drawdown that you have to make 1.2% of profit. And this is the secret cheat code that Apex doesn't want you to know and that other people don't tell you. So with Apex, remember, you can get 20 accounts, okay? And I suggest everybody, once they get to that level, they get 20 50K accounts, which is what I had, because once you do that, you can be pulling in almost 80K a month, every 2 weeks just from that account, okay? Now, FastTrack trading, it's a bit different because in FastTrack, you don't have a challenge phase. You just go straight to live sim funded, right? And there's no challenge phase. Now, how do you equate this, right? For FastTrack, okay, you essentially have to look at it as an ROI perspective. I'm not going to do the math for you here. It's not really, super crazy. It's basically similar to Apex, but essentially, the ROI, the highest ROI for 20 accounts, based on how much you're investing into these accounts or per account, is going to be your rally. So, assuming you're able to make 4%, 6% profit, because why is because, well, you have payout caps. So this is essentially based on how much you can basically withdraw, and essentially if you're able to withdraw more in respect to the account size, it's more ROI for you. And I've done the math. Essentially, the 25K accounts, the rally accounts, and the Daytona accounts are going to be the best ROI for you. And then GT and Le Mans, there's not really any difference. But obviously, in terms of their actual ratio. But if you're going to go big, go for the Le Mans. And if you're a skilled day trader and you know what you're doing, you should be going for the Le Mans, assuming you've built up enough profit, from the rally in Daytona. I think if you get 20 accounts, it's about 1.2K, 1.8K for 20, 25K rally accounts, and then around 4.5K for 20, 50K Daytona accounts. And then assuming you get a full 10-day payout, it's 40K for here, 30K for here. Then after expenses, you're going to be up, 35.5K here, and then like 27, 28K, around here. And you can obviously, invest, just blow those accounts or whatever, and then buy Le Mans, because 20 Le Mans accounts are going to cost you with discount, like what, like 12K, 12 to 14K, which is kind of crazy. But hey, man, the earning potential is wild. Okay. And I plan to, obviously, I'm going really slow right now with my Apex accounts, because of what happened, as well as my Topstep accounts. But that's kind of my goal. But again, guys, when you are, let's kind of zoom out to the whole picture. How does this help you? Okay, because again, what I just told you is for Apex and FastTrack funding. And now, FastTrack, you have end of day. I didn't even cover the end of day round on FastTrack. Oh, let's take it a step back. So for FastTrack, you have 5% max end of day trailing drawdown. So basically, FastTrack is like Apex, but better in a sense. More expensive, but better in a sense. And because it has similar risk rules to Topstep and MyFunded Futures, but they do have a consistency rule. You can't make more than 1% profit per day, essentially. But again, you don't have to worry about it because it doesn't trail from unrealized trailing drawdown. So you can go for 1-to-1s, whatever. And yeah, but my whole point is saying, hey, for Apex Trader funding and FastTrack trading, you should be going and doing negative RR scalping or 1-to-1 scalping, okay? Based on these parameters that I just taught you, okay? You should be risking 20 ticks to go for 20 ticks, 25 ticks to go for 25 ticks, etc. Okay, for gold and NQ, remember GC is the ticker for gold, and then NQ is the ticker for NASDAQ, okay? And for my Topstep and MyFunded Futures, right, you have more leeway, but you can hold trades and go for higher RR styles because of this factor, since it's end of day, right? These are end of day, and this is also end of day. And actually, yeah, you can go for the same style for Topstep and MyFunded Futures with FastTrack, but with the consistency rule, it's more so designed for scalping. If I'm going to be honest with you, Apex is like the #1 firm designed for just pure raw scalping and just consistency every single day. So that's really the risk management guide. Obviously, I can't tell you how to trade. You're gonna have to figure out, your system and whatnot. But for scalping, right, with these tick sizes, I've kind of given you that. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions, guys. Please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope it gave you kind of an idea on how to risk and navigate these prop firm challenges. There are dynamic risk systems of where, if you lose, a certain amount of trades, you can lower your risk. But another thing, actually, this is something I also want to cover as well here. What you can do is for MyFunded Futures and Topstep, right? If you want to have 5 trades in the burner and replicate it like Apex, what you can do is you can risk 1% for your first trade, and if you lose that trade, you cut your risk to 0.5%. And now, if you lose those 4 trades, you've blown your account. So this allows you to have technically overall 5 trades before you lose the whole account. Okay, and that's honestly the best way to do it. And obviously, when you hit the hit above that high water mark at the end of the day, you'll still have 3 trades in the burner, and hopefully you can pass your challenges. But I hope this made sense to you guys. If you have any questions, you can just shoot me a message in Instagram if you want more clarification on this, or just join the free Discord. I can answer your questions there. I'd be happy to do that. But yeah, please like and subscribe, guys, and I will see you all in the next video. All right, peace.